The compensator and lightweight grip is one of my favorite grips, apparently. I did not know this. If you would have asked me before I made this video, I would have never said, oh yeah, use the lightweight grip with the compensator. I'd be like, no, statistically, it doesn't make any sense. I took a lot of your feedback from the AUG video, hopefully have incorporated most of your guys' comments and feedback from the AUG to the barrel. So today we're going to compare the best attachments to the barrel. I'm going to show you with the spray patterns, what appears to be the best. And then I'm also going to show you what feels like the best for the barrel. So let's take a look. All right, so we're going to start here. Something I did not do in the last video, and some people are asking me about it. So if you don't know, I already have an ultimate PUBG attachment guide where I go over literally every attachment in PUBG, every single one of them. I go over their pros and cons. I show you how to use them. I show you what they're useful for, what they're not useful for, what weapons to use them for, all that. So go check that video out if you want every attachment. But for today's video's purpose, we're going to be covering flash hider. The suppressor is also in here, but it doesn't give you any benefit. So just the sake of keeping it an easy to read graph, we got flash hider, comp, muzzle brake, angle grip, half grip, vert grip, thumb grip, and the lightweight grip. So flash hider is going to give you plus 10% horizontal control and vertical recoil control. So that means it's going to be easier to control the left to right movement and easier to control the up and down movement. Compensator gives you 10 horizontal and 15 vertical. And then the muzzle brake, which recently got a nerf a couple months ago, now only gives you 8% horizontal, 8% vertical, and 35% in the screen shake reduction. So that's obviously very, very big, being able to reduce your screen shake that significantly. The angle grip, which is one of my personal favorites since they did a recent buff to this grip, gives you 25% horizontal control, which is a huge amount of horizontal control. So that means when you have this grip attached, the weapon very rarely is going to move left to right. You're only going to have to worry about up and down movements. It does not give you any vertical control. It gives you minus 10 sway control, which this means when you're not holding your breath, so when you're just aiming down sight, your crosshair is going to be drifting at a 10% increased rate. So that's sway control. If it's a minus, that's bad. If it's a plus, that's good. Aim down sight speed, so how fast you can get down your sight into your red dot or your scope, is a plus 10%, so that's good. The half grip is kind of like the middle ground grip, the best of all worlds. It gives you 8% horizontal, 8% vertical, minus 10% sway control, but it does give you another plus 10 in recoil recovery, which is how fast your recoil or your crosshair resets after each shot. So essentially, this is an extra recoil, vertical and horizontal recovery control here. Then you have vertical grip, no horizontal, but plus 15 vertical. So it's the best grip to control vertical up and down movement, but it doesn't give you anything else. Thumb grip gives you 10% vertical, no horizontal, but it also gives you a plus 20% in sway control. So that means when you're just aiming down sight, your crosshair, if my mouse is the crosshair, is going to be very steady. It's not going to move that much at all. Whereas over here, your crosshair is already moving a little bit, and then you're minus 10%, so it's going to move a little bit more. Then the thumb grip gets a plus 40% aim down sight speed, which is huge, absolutely huge. And I'll show you an example of what I mean. And then the thumb grip also gets plus 10% in the recoil recovery. So this, in my opinion, is one of the strongest grips if you can master the lack of horizontal control, because of all of its extra benefits that you get compared to the vert grip with only plus 15%. Then last but not least is the lightweight grip. And the lightweight grip is kind of the weirdest one of them all, I think, because it's specifically designed to do one thing and one thing really well. It's supposed to be the best attachment for single tap or short burst fire. So 1 to 3, 1 to 4 shots in between your sprays. This is statistically supposed to be the best one for that. It gives you plus 20% sway control, making it great for an SKS or a mutant, so you can aim down sight and your scope is very steady. He has a plus 10% muzzle rise control, so how much that muzzle is going to want to move up in between shots. It gets 20% recoil recovery, so that when that scope jumps up, it's going to reset 20% faster down to its baseline. And then this is the only grip that also gets initial shot control, 30%, which is why this is one of the strongest, like I said, single tap or short burst firing grips, because your distance between each shot is going to be so tight together that it's going to be way easier to land 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 shots in a row. And I'll show you later in the example. So that's a quick TLDR of the grips and their benefits. You can obviously take a screenshot of that if you want, and maybe in the future I'll add all the attachments and make it a much bigger grid if you guys like it. Now let's actually jump over to the Beryl muzzles. So first we got just the muzzles. This is as of update 34.1, and this is really important right here because the graphic that I put out last week on the AUG shows with a 30 round bullet spray, but with the Beryl, because it has so much more vertical recoil, I could only consider the first 23 bullets before the bullets went off the grid, okay, or off the landscape of where I was shooting. So keep that in mind. If you were to compare both images side by side, the AUG and the Beryl, they're not going to look that much different, but you're missing 7 bullets from this spray, okay? So that's why I put the asterisk there. Now we move over to the grip. So the muzzles rather. We have no attachment. We have suppressor, which again, suppressor gives you no vertical or horizontal control. It only gives you a hip fire accuracy buff and of course the sound reduction. But in terms of the recoil spray, you can see it's damn near identical to no attachment. So the same amount of vertical, I would say arguably the same amount of horizontal as well. There's very little extra movement in its horizontal compared to the standard no attachment in the Beryl. Then you have the flash hider, which gives you horizontal and vertical control. And you can immediately see that the reduction in vertical is noticeable here. And then when you zoom in, you see that there's much less change in direction from left to right. And when it does change direction, it's still very gradual. So it's easy to kind of track and recover from those horizontal shifts. Because one of the hardest things to do in PUBG is to tackle constant horizontal shifting of the recoil. It's one thing if it decides to go left or right, but if it goes left for 2 bullets, then right for 2 bullets, and left, it's a lot of mouse movement that you're having to do to compensate for that. So whenever you see gradual movements, when you can very easily follow the recoil in a nice little snake pattern, that's good. That's very, very good. Then going over to the muzzle brake, and the muzzle brake is going to be pretty similar to the flash hider, you know, not quite as good in terms of the recoil control, but what you don't see in this image is the 35% screen shake improvement. So that means the screen is going to look way smoother, and I'll show you a video clip of that in just a second. So there's going to be way less screen bounce for the muzzle brake, which is going to be a lot visually easier to shoot the gun and keep track of your target. And last but not least is the compensator, which obviously you expect it to be the best. I would say arguably it is the best, but what I noticed with the Beryl, with the compensator, is that in some cases the horizontal control, I wouldn't say it's worse than like say the muzzle brake or the flash hider, but sometimes it wasn't as smooth for some reason. I don't know exactly why, but sometimes the muzzle brake felt like it maybe was a bit more predictable. Even the flash hider, sometimes the compensator was okay, and sometimes it kind of had a couple little weird left to right movements. But overall, I think it's pretty clear that the compensator is going to give you the best chance at controlling the recoil for the Beryl. Also keep in mind, these are just a small sample size of sprays. In PUBG, the recoil is randomized essentially. So every time you shoot the gun, you're going to get a potential different recoil pattern. So it won't always be the same up and down or left to right movements, but this will give you a good idea at which one will be the best in terms of recoil control or your ability to track targets and spray, which is what the muzzle brake will be. All right, so moving on over to the grips, and same asterisk here, of course, applies. 23 bullet spray. We've got no attachments. Then we've got angled, half grip, vert, thumb, and the lightweight grip. So going left to right, these two vertically, I would call this just probably user error on my part. Vertically, these should be no different. Like these sprays are all really close. This one's a little bit higher. Maybe there's some user error there. But horizontally speaking, Remember, the angle grip is big on horizontal reduction. Look at how much smoother the transitions are with the horizontal. So on the no grip, you got left, right, left, right, left. On this one, it's a long, steady motion. Then you get a little bit left, long, steady motion, a little bit right, little zigzag there, long, steady. So it's very predictable on its left to right movement. But the penalty is that you get none of that vertical control. And you are going to get a plus 10% in ADS speed, which is also really strong. Moving over to the half grip, like I said earlier, this is kind of like the best of both worlds for the grips. It gives you really good vertical. You can see that here. And it gives you really good horizontal. You can see here, there is a bit more movement in left to right. You have a little right, left, left, right. Same thing over here. Right, left, right, way left, right. So it's not anywhere near as good as an angled, but still better than no grip. And then going over to the vert, look at this. So vert grip here has the best vertical control, really close to the thumb grip. Again, thumb grip's only got 5% less, so it's really close, but you get no other benefits of the vert. And so look at how much more change you have after your first 3 or 4 bullets. Left, right, left, right, left, right. So a lot of horizontal that you're gonna have to fight with, which is why I tend to say, in my opinion, no real reason to go for the vert, for at least for the first few weapons I've been doing the tests, compared to the thumb grip, statistically speaking, that is, of course. But then when you actually go and do the sprays, it does seem like the thumb grip may actually have more horizontal movement than the vert, which it shouldn't. Statistically speaking, it shouldn't. There's nothing in the vert and the thumb grip horizontal wise that makes it worse. But I don't know. Sometimes when I was doing the sprays and doing the test, it felt like the thumb grip was actually harder to control than the vert grip. I don't know if you guys feel the same when trying the Beryl. If you put the vert and you put the thumb on, if you feel the same, like the thumb grip is harder to control. But I felt that in my spray tests, the thumb grip got away from me more often than the vert grip did. So something to keep in mind. And last, but certainly not least, is the lightweight grip. Statistically speaking, the lightweight grip should not be your top choice at all. However, with the Beryl, I think it's going to make a strong case, especially when we start combining it with the comp or the muzzle brake, and I'll show you why in a second. So vertically speaking, it's obviously got less than the angle grip because of those extra recoil recovery, initial shot control, all those things that we talked about in the previous slide. So it, in essence, has a good amount of vertical control, even though statistically it doesn't actually give you vertical recoil reduction. And if you zoom in, look at how smooth the first 7-8 bullets are with the lightweight grip. I mean, they're very predictable. There's very little movement, at least in the first initial part of the spray. And obviously, if you're close range, hopefully you're going to kill your target in the first few bullets. So that's very strong. All right, next up is the ADS speed that we talked about earlier. So this is visually how it looks. You have a no attachment, angle grip, which gives you plus 10% ADS speed, thumb grip, which gives you plus 40% ADS speed, and this is with a red dot here. We'll go full, I'm just a full speed play it, okay? So red dot, full speed, and then I have it slowed down to 10% here. And then this is a screen pause here. So I'll go one more time, go full speed. It's almost instant, right? At 10% speed, watch this. You can already find your target with a thumb grip. You can almost see it with the angle grip, and you can't see anything with no attachment. And then watch when I do the still shot here in a second. Here on the thumb grip side, you can already find your red dot. So technically, you could be lining up your target and taking shots accurately right now. You're not even close with the angle grip. You still got a few more frames, and then you're nowhere near with no grip attachment. So very important to have plus ADS speed when getting into quick engagements. Now, if you're the kind of player that is going to be kind of hunkered down, taking your time, and you're not getting in and out of fights quickly, these two benefits may not be that big for you. But for a lot of the more aggro players, faster pace, hot drop players, these two benefits are very strong. All right, next up is on the 6X. So same example, but now with a larger scope, you're going to be able to see and notice that difference even more, because the way PUBG works is the bigger the scope, the longer the ADS speed is, the aim down sight speed. So here we have no attachment, plus 10%, plus 40% with a 6X. So that was the full speed test here. And then here's 10% speed. And then now you're still shot here. So this is the still shot of when the thumb grip fully could see and visualize the target. The angle grip with only plus 10% still had no target to visualize. And obviously no attachment is going to be even further behind the angle grip. So just a quick comparison showing you why and how strong that 40% ADS speed, or even the 10% in some cases, can be. All right, moving back to the recoil comparison. So here we have the compensator test with all the different grips and attachments. So here, again, we have nothing, angled compensator, half comp, vert comp, thumb comp, and lightweight comp. And again, 23 bullet sprays that we're looking at here. And like on the AUG video, I firmly stand by the best looking recoil pattern is the angled and the compensator. Just looking at the actual spray lines, how easy it would be to control this recoil from a left to right standpoint, you cannot beat the angle grip. However, in using the Beryl, you'll notice that the Beryl kicks like a freaking mule. It's not as easy to control as some of the 5.56 guns. So I would definitely not say this is the go-to grip for most players. This is going to be a hard grip to master because it's going to require a lot of vertical pull down. You have to really be awake and paying attention when using the angled. The half grip, as you can see, is honestly a great spot for just very consistent recoil in the vertical. But look at how much horizontal you have here. Look at all the different sprays. It's a lot of these little snakes. So it's not like it's going crazy in one direction, but there's a lot of left to right movement you're going to have to worry about when using a half grip. Vert grip is very nice in terms of vertical control, of course, but same story with a lot of the horizontal movement. But that compensator does help rein in some of that horizontal pattern. And remember what I was saying earlier, the thumb grip felt like it kept just getting away from me. So my first few bullets were really nice with the thumb grip. I mean, look at like how dead on accurate these first few bullets are with every spray. So it's not like on these other grips how the sprays kind of go out a little bit, they flare left, right. I mean, I guess the angle is pretty close, but look at the thumb grip. It almost looks like it's one on top of the other. Very predictable for the first 1 to 3 bullets, but then after that, it does start to just get away from you. And again, 23 bullets into your spray. If you're spraying a full magazine, you got another 7 to 9 bullets to go, and these things, it's going to get really crazy. Last but not least, the lightweight grip. And this one surprised me the most. This one was very nice in its vertical control, and it wasn't terrible with the addition of the compensator for the horizontal control. There's a couple instances where, you have some left to right movement, but nothing crazy that I would say. And I think this has been a really fun grip to test on the Beryl with the compensator. Now moving over to the muzzle brake. You have no grip, angled, half, vert, thumb, lightweight, and muzzle brake is going to give you less vertical and horizontal, but it gives you that plus 35 screen shake reduction, which is going to be really big. And I think it's pretty much the same story here. If you go from vert or compensator to thumb, you can just notice the quick thing to notice rather is the vertical increase for every grip, right? Because you're losing that vertical reduction on the compensator. And you are also going to see a little bit more horizontal in some of the grips, like the half grip, the vert grip. But oddly, look at the thumb grip. The thumb grip looks like it cleaned up with the addition of the muzzle brake, but the initial sprays weren't quite as consistent, like the initial 1 to 2 bullets. And then a similar story with the muzzle brake and the lightweight grip. Like just at a glance, compensator, muzzle brake, compensator, muzzle brake. It's very, very interesting because statistically, these muzzle brakes are worse for horizontal control. So you would expect them to be worse in the left to right movements, but I don't know. It didn't show that when I did the test. So it's weird. One of the things you guys asked me to do from the AUG video was to look at the first 10 bullets, compensator and muzzle brake, bullet number 1, all the way up to number 10. Lightweight grip gives you no technical vertical recoil help, but it has one of the best first few bullet accuracies. Here's bullet number 1 and bullet number 2. You can tell these are the first or the 2 closest bullets out of any of the grips. Bullet 1, 2, 3. You can tell it's the best for the first 3 bullets. Bullet 1, 2, 3, 4. It's still the best for the first 4 bullets, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 is up here. So the vertical grip starts to kind of get what and what with it. The half grip's way up here, angle grip's way up here, and the thumb grip is up here. So first 4 bullets, first 5 bullets, again, is, I would say, tied with the vert grip. The thumb grip's pretty close, and obviously these two are way up there. The 6th bullet is when the thumb grip catches up and the vert grip actually beats it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the vert grip finally beats it in terms of vertical control after the 6th bullet compared to the thumb and the lightweight. And then obviously it's going to gradually increase from there. The higher you get in your spray, the tighter down that vertical control is going to be. So I thought this is really, really fun to look at and see just really how much better the lightweight is for the first 4 to 5 bullets. So again, those are those really tight sprays. And I think if you're disciplined enough with your sprays, you can really take advantage of those first few bullet accuracies. And then if you look at the angle grip, again, I keep going back to the angled. I know it has the worst vertical by far, but look at how consistent this spray is. It's almost arguably a vertical up and down zero movement spray, which means when you're shooting with this gun, all you have to do is literally pull down with the angle grip. And like I said in the last video, you can help compensate for that by going to your settings, to your controls, and increasing your vertical sensitivity multiplier. I use mine at 1.7. And so having this means that you're going to get very little drift in your left to right, and you're only going to have to really worry about your vertical. So this is a really fun showcase, I thought. And then the muzzle brake, let's zoom in, is pretty similar story, right? We have first 1 to 2 bullets, it's way tighter. First 3 bullets, it's tighter. First 4 bullets, it's tighter. First 5 bullets is kind of where it starts to average out with the thumb and the vert grip. Even the half grip kind of starts to match out, because remember, this is not compensator, so you don't have the extra percentage of the vertical recoil control. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And at 5, it starts to go up even higher. And then obviously it kind of gets carried away from there. So angle grip and muzzle brake, I don't know if that would be the combo I would do for the Beryl. Just comparing these two to each other, there is going to be much more horizontal movement with that. So and the fact that you get less vertical control from not having the comp, I think the compensator and the angled is what I would use. If I was going to go angled, I mean. Also, I should note, on this first 10 bullet spray, I took the best case scenario. So of all the sprays that I did for each of these grips and attachments, I took the best case scenario to show this comparison. So in other words, there are going to be situations where even with the angled and the comp, it's not always going to be exactly up and down. Sometimes it is a little left and right. Arguably the same thing can be said for the lightweight. Not every time is it going to be as smooth as this one, etc. So this is the best case scenario that I found when doing my comparisons. Okay, now let's look at how it actually looks to use the grip. So this is a big thing people ask, is like, well, CDome, the numbers are great. You know, talking about the statistics is good, but how does the actual spray pattern look? And so that's what I did. I went to the shooting range. I went crouched 15 meters away, so relatively close range, red dot, utilizing each of these different attachments. And so take a look. This is my first 3 sprays with each of these attachments. And I was surprised to see which grip I got the best percentage with, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So take a look at this. So we start off with just Compensator on left and Muzzle Brake on the right. And what this is showing you, if you never looked at one of these charts in the firing range, is this black circle. Think of it as like the head of the enemy. This is number 1. When it says 1, this means how many bullets did you hit on number 1? What is the percentage of bullets that you hit in number 1? Number 2 is the second ring around that. How many bullets did you hit there? Your percentage. Number 3, obviously the third ring, the fourth ring, fifth ring. Okay. So that's what these numbers mean. And this is, again, this is my first go. So I wasn't like perfecting my spray for this example. I was trying to give as real life of an example as possible. You dropped out of the airplane, you pick up a barrel, you pick up this attachment. This is what your first couple of sprays are going to feel like. And so that's what I did. So can you have better? Yeah, for sure. If you sat here and really tested your favorite attachments, for sure. So the Compensator, Muzzle Brake. Now I got the angle grip attached, and the angle grip was one of the best tested of any of the ones that I did. Compensator and angle grip at 42% in here, 46% in the second ring, and then 640. Muzzle brake and angled was a little bit worse. 5 less bullets in number 1, but just look at like the different sprays that you kind of see out, the outliers, I guess you'd say, because that angle doesn't give you any vertical control. Oh, pause that. Now you're at the half grip here, which is a 33% accuracy for the comp side and 35% for the muzzle brake side. But look at like the actual bullet pattern. Like I was all over the place with the half grip. And you could even argue and say that I was overcompensating, right? Because this typically indicates that I'm pulling down too much on my spray. And this one is with the Compensator, of course. And I was still doing a little bit, still shooting off a little bit to the side, but I was maybe trying to compensate too much over here with the muzzle brake. And here's the vert grip. Vert grip was one of the tightest spreads in terms of line 2 percentage. I had 55 shots there, 61% accuracy in the second column, or second circle rather. And then over here at the muzzle brake, still had really good 54 percentage in second, but one of the lowest in the number 1 circle, 19 and 20. And then next up is going to be thumb grip. So 32% in the thumb, 21% for the muzzle brake. And again, I was saying in the earlier comparison that the thumb grip kept getting away from me. And this is what I was talking about. I was like constantly fighting the vertical and the horizontal jumps. Same thing for the muzzle brake. And then last but not least, watch this. Lightweight grip. Look at this. Lightweight grip with a Compensator. 43 shots hit out of 90. So almost half of my bullets were square within the number 1 circle, essentially the target's head. 43% were in ring number 2, so very close to, you know, the headshot. Then 7 and 1, and then the muzzle brake was way worse. It wasn't terrible, but it was definitely worse. 33%, 41%, 24%, and then 1%. Starting to get away from me with the muzzle brake. So what does this mean? It means for me, the Compensator and lightweight grip is one of my favorite grips, apparently. I did not know this. If you would have asked me before I made this video, I would have never said, oh yeah, use the lightweight grip with the Compensator. I'd be like, no, statistically, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? Because there's not enough reason to show that you should do that. But I mean, this is the real world example. And then if you go back to the beginning, my angle grip was number 2. 42%, which you consider headshot. And then 35% for the muzzle brake and half grip. 21 and 22% for the comp vert. Like I would have anticipated this to be really good. but it wasn't for me. I mean, it might be for you. And then the thumb grip, 32%. And last, the half grip, or the lightweight grip. So, what does this mean? Maybe you should go try out the comp and lightweight. I don't know. That's what I would say. After me testing this, what can I tell you? Go try out the lightweight and the comp, and try out the comp and the angled on the barrel. This is, again, specifically just the barrel. All right, so what are y'all's thoughts on that? Is any of that surprising to you? Is it obvious? Like, duh, that's exactly what I would have anticipated, CDome? Or is some of it like, oh shit, that's something that I would not have seen? Yo, Kiwi, thank you so much for the biddies and the 5 gifted community subs. Let's grouch, baby. Chat, if you got one of those 5 gifted, make sure to give some love to Kiwi. Thank you, man. I appreciate that very much. Lightweight is surprising. Agreed. I would strongly recommend you guys go to the training grounds, go to the shooting range, go at 15 meters, try to recreate my test. 3 sprays, 90 bullets, and just go see. Like, just go see what your sprays look like. Like I said, of course, if you pick just 2 attachments and you practice with those same 2, you can definitely dial it in. You can get used to the recoil pattern. You get that muscle memory of pull down. But sometimes that's not real world scenarios. Like PUBG is RNG, right? So when you land, you might not always have the, oh, my comp, my lightweight. You might wind up getting a half grip and a muzzle brake. And so then you're like, oh shit, well, this is actually statistically one of my worst attachments to use. So like, you kind of have to wake up and know, all right, I'm going to really have to focus if I'm using these attachments on this one, because I know it's not my best, you know? So I thought it was really interesting to do that test. And I'm glad you guys asked me in the comments of the AUG video, like, hey, you should do like an actual spray test to show your groupings with those attachments, because I was surprised to see what I saw. The comp and lightweight on the barrel is really good. Well, a couple of things I would just say to keep in mind is, number one, this is red dot 15 meters away. So this is extremely close range. I feel like the further away you get, this story may not be exactly the same, because further away means sometimes you're going to put a bigger scope on the gun, which might mean you want a muzzle brake to help reduce that screen shake, because the screen does shake more with a muzzle brake. I showed you guys that in the last video, but I guess I should show it in this video too, just in case y'all didn't see the AUG. You should go watch the AUG video, but if you didn't, let me show you real quick. This is with the AUG, but it's the same comparison in terms of reduction in screen shake. So take a look. So it's way smoother on the right compared to the left. If you just try to watch the reticle, watch how much the reticle and the screen just kind of shakes around versus the muzzle brake on the right. So long distance sprays, this is 50% speed. The muzzle brake does become a stronger option because of that screen shake reduction. I do have to admit that. Having said that, because I know that the compensator for me is, it looks like the better choice of attachments for the barrel, then if I'm going to pick up a barrel, I kind of just got to tell myself, hey, look, when you have a longer scope, rely on your DMR or sniper for that. And remember that your barrel is really strong up close. So rely on your compensator, angle grip, or lightweight compensator if that's what you end up going with. So I don't know. I thought that was an interesting test. I'm glad I did it, because before I did this test, if you would have asked me, CDome, what's my go-to attachments on the barrel, I would have said thumb grip comp or thumb grip muzzle brake. That's what I would have said. After doing this test, I don't think I would use a thumb grip on the barrel personally. Could you do it and do it well? I'm sure some people are really good with it, but for me, I had the best experience using, I guess if I had to give like 3, like an order 3, it would be lightweight, angled, vert, in that order, all with a compensator for the barrel. So for me, that's my top 3: lightweight comp, angle comp, vert comp. If I'm gonna go put a scope on, like if I have to, for whatever the scenario happens to be, I'm gonna look for a muzzle brake, and then I would probably still also put the lightweight grip on it, to be honest. Just do shorter sprays. Before we end this video, let me know if you're watching this live. First of all, thank you for being here. Thanks for watching it live. Let me know what gun you want to see me do next. And if you're watching this video on the YouTube, leave it down in the comments below what gun you want to see me do next. And obviously leave it a like, share it, all that kind of good stuff. All these screen grabs are going to be in my Discord too. I'll start compiling them there for the AUG and the barrel, so you can kind of refer back to it or share it with a buddy if you want. But yeah, I thought that was a fun test. Very useful for me. So hopefully you guys got some use out of it as well. Yeah, Eric, man, look, I'll be honest, like People have asked me, obviously, before I made this video, CDome, what grip should I use on the barrel? I would openly say, no, don't use a lightweight. The lightweight's not made for that. The lightweight grip is made for mutant, for SKS, for like burst fire weapons or short shot, like single tap fire weapons. I would have never said, yeah, dude, use the lightweight, duh. But I mean, now that I did the test, I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, like I for sure use the lightweight on the barrel. Like again, this is, all these guns are going to perform differently. I wouldn't say the same thing for the AUG after we did the AUG test. For the AUG, I think the angle grip is really the king for the AUG. Some people think half is better or whatever. That's fine, of course. But for me, I definitely go angled on the AUG. You should do SMG hip fire accuracy next. I'll do that when I do the MP5K video. I think the MP5K is going to be the next gun that I do the comparison for, because it would be nice to do an SMG. I'll be able to cover things like the tac stock that people are asking about, and I can also work in the hip fire questions.